And that was kind of abrupt cutoff, but we are live. What is up, everyone? My name is Tyler Ramsby. I am the founder of Hack Smarter and KairoSec. Hack Smarter is a platform that helps you learn ethical hacking. KairoSec is a pen testing firm. But this is the very first episode of Catching Up with Caido. I'm here with Emil. I'm going to bring him on stage shortly. But real quick, just some like housekeeping things. Generally, I don't just use Restream for streaming, but it works really well for interviews. That being said, because I don't normally use it, there's always a chance I did something wrong. So if anything sounds off or looks off, please let me know over in chat. We'll keep our eye on the chat. I see people joining from YouTube, so it must be working on YouTube for sure. And hopefully we're also live on LinkedIn and Twitch. So if you're watching this from LinkedIn and or Twitch, just say hello in the comments, and then I know it is working. All that being said, Catching Up with Caido is going to be a monthly stream that we do. Hey, LinkedIn user, sweet. A monthly stream that we do with Emil, who is one of the founders of Caido. Caido is a web proxy toolkit written from the ground up in Rust. But hey, there's no better person to explain it than him. So let me bring him onto the stage. And here we go. And it worked. Emil, dude, welcome. Welcome to the live stream.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Yeah. It's my first
Hey,
live stream, I think. Like I've done podcasts and like recorded videos, but yeah, this is gonna be
live
fun.
streams are more fun.
Yeah.
Dude, before we dive into it, like a lot of the people who maybe follow me on YouTube and such, they may have heard of you, but they haven't maybe met you. So
Yeah.
give us the classic elevator pitch. Like we're at DEF CON, we're in an elevator. You have 2 minutes to tell us who you are. Who
All
is
right.
Emil?
I'm Emil, co-founder of Caido. I've been working on Caido since 2021. Previously, I was mostly on the defensive side, I would say, like infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. And I'm a good friend with Corbenic, Ian, my co-founder, one of my co-founder. Used to be a bug bounty hunter, so we started like working on that 4 years ago now. Time flies. And yeah, here we are. It's still like, and we're gonna touch about it, but like, yeah, we got included into Cali. We're in Parrot OS. It's kind of a dream come true
I love
for
it.
that product. So yeah, no, very happy.
So cool. And for those of you watching the live stream, let me kind of give you an order or a structure of what is going to happen. We're going to spend the first 20 to 30 minutes. I'm basically going to turn it over to Emil. He's going to walk us through, well, first he'll give a high level overview of what Caido is for those of you who haven't heard of it, and then walk us through some of the updates for the past month. A lot of really exciting things. After that, we'll do kind of a Q&A time. It could last 5 minutes, could last 25 minutes, but any questions you have about Caido or even pen testing, I mean, you can ask questions to either one of us. Happy to do Q&A that way. And finally, one fun thing that we are doing, and shout out to Caido for this because they sponsored it themselves, but we are also going to be giving away a 6-month premium subscription to Caido. Now, only those who are in the live stream now will be eligible to win. I'll basically open up a Google form randomly throughout the stream. I'll give you a few minutes to enter it in. And then tonight on my normal live stream over on YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn, I'll do the drawing. I'll take that person's information, pass them over to Emil, and he and his team will reach out to you. Also want to let you know on that Google form, I do ask for your email. It's literally just so I can contact you if you win. I'm not adding your email to any subscriber things. I won't email that email. So just know that I'm not like trying to use this to collect email addresses. But okay, I'm looking over at chat. Everything seems to be, oh, I'm not online on Twitch.
We're not on
That's
Switch,
lame.
so yeah.
That's fine. I'll fix it next time. But we're on YouTube and LinkedIn. Good
That's
enough.
fine.
Sorry for
Good
the
enough.
Twitch folks. But Emil, I'm going to turn it over to you. If you want to
Yeah.
share your screen and just
Yeah,
walk us through first, like what the heck is Caido?
Yeah, let's do that. Screen 2. Let's hope everything works correctly.
Yeah, I'll add it to the scene. And there we go.
Perfect.
Take it away, my friend.
Excellent. I don't see you or any questions, so feel free to stop me at any time if you see something interesting. So yeah, for those of you that don't know Caido, it's a web proxy tool. So anything that you're used to from Zap, Burp Suite, MITM proxy, all of those, we kind of fit into that kind of category of tool. So we have all the stuff that you're used to from just the basic HTTP story, your interception tools for request responsive WebSocket. We have a lot of the replay tools. So if you're just resending requests, here I had like some different collection that I have. I think I have maybe more interesting thing in AWS. We'll do a bit of like demo anyway of all the new features that are coming up. We have the automate tool, which will allow you to do more brute forcing from selected file list or like numbers that you generate on the fly. And one of the things we try to differentiate is ease of use, and that comes up with like our workflow system. So our workflow system allows you to build different types of. We have different types of workflows, but like say convert is for conversions, encoding and decoding. You can create. Let's create a new workflow. So here, when you have a base workflow, and that UI can kind of change a lot. So if you've not seen like Caido in it recently, that might be a new UI for you. So you can add nodes. For example, I can add a JavaScript node, and then I can start like coding. I can expand that. I can start coding here.
Can I pause you real quick? Just on these workflows, when would someone use this in an engagement? Like, can you think of any specific use cases or
Yeah,
scenarios to kind of bring it to ground for people?
for sure, for sure. So you have like in the conversion, it's kind of like we can see example here. So just like JSON to form data. So any kind of like conversion, or I have one I'm going to present a bit later called AWS signature, which essentially recreates an AWS signature, so you can actually send your data when you're testing AWS services that use this specific signature. But any kind of like encoding or decoding you need to do. So that can be also the reverse, like decoding URL. Those are the base one that we ship. For passive, this will be more like checks level. So I have a couple ones. I have the color top level navigation, or I have LeakZ, for example. That's pretty common. So LeakZ will check for PII on every response that comes in to check for secrets, and I think it's requests and responses, if I remember correctly. So this will be more of your passive checks that you want to detect some kind of sometimes it can be used for like, okay, I know I'm trying to brute force this kind of parameter for an XSS. I want to detect if that parameter has been reflected in the responses in any way. So this is something you can do with passive. And active is more like you want to. I don't use it as much, but like essentially active is more I want to code a special type of attack on a specific request, then I encode it into an active.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the node system is very useful, and you can also like if you're too constrained by the node we have the JavaScript node and the shell node, so you can call out to like external tools and stuff like that. Otherwise, I think yeah, we have this the query language called HTTPQL. So this is a small query language. You can do rec dot let's say port. Well, port may not be interesting. So method rec dot method contains, let's say, get, and then we're just gonna get the get methods. So this is like a query language that we use. Is inspired a bit with what Wireshark does, but it's mostly centered around HTTP. And then you can like chain it with ampersand, and then do other or I think it's n. Yeah, it's n. Rec dot like extension contains JS information. Like it's so you want just the JS file, and then you can save those presets into different aliases, and then reuse that alias. So I could say like, okay, this is JS files. I'm going to create that, and then I can just use JS files here, and then I have my preset here. So this is useful if you want to reuse your own presets.
Sure.
Very useful feature for like rapid scoping of your what you need, apart from the scoping mechanism, obviously, but this is more like targeted things. Yeah, otherwise I think that gives you a bit of an overview, and then yeah, for people that never use the tool like that. So.
Can I ask you kind of the elephant in the room question? I'm sure you've been
Yeah.
asked before. The tool that most people are aware of that is similar to this is Burp Suite. Well, you have
Yeah.
Zap, but OWASP Zap just looks bad. But you have Burp Suite and Burp Suite Pro, right? Which is
Yeah.
kind of the industry standard tool for a typical web app pen testing. Why another tool? Like, what was Burp Suite Pro missing, or what gap do you think Caido is filling?
I think at first the gap we were filling is that the performance in Burp Suite became pretty bad, especially 4 years ago. If you come back 4 years ago, it was very, very bad. Now it's less bad. But it's so at first it was really a response to that. We wanted something that was lightweight, that didn't consume like freaking 100 gigs of RAM. And that was not Java. So that was kind of like our main starting point for that for Caido. So we build it in a client server architecture way. So you don't necessarily have to host it in a, like I have it like right now on my desktop, but I could also host it remotely and just connect to using a browser, or I can connect using the desktop app if you want. So it's very flexible in terms of where you can deploy it. And also it doesn't consume RAM. We're disk hungry, but disk is cheaper than RAM. So in general,
Sure.
like that's something we essentially put everything in SQLite databases. So it's also not a proprietary format. You can like query the database if you want directly. We don't try to lock you into that a proprietary format. And yeah, so that was the starting point, and now it kind of evolved and like, okay, how can we make people, for example, more organized with the system of collections? How can we make just like your life faster in general? We added like the agent system recently, so we'll try to innovate with AI that respects you, so we don't try to sell you credits. You can just use your own keys. So that's kind of our philosophy of like, yeah, trying to listen more to the community and be in touch of what people actually want in their tool. So
Love it. One more overview question before we dive into some specifics. Talk about pricing. What is free? What costs money? Is there student plans? Like a quick
yeah,
overview of that for those in the audience.
for sure. So we have a very strong basic version that we call that is free. And then after that, well, the limitations are mostly on terms of quantity. So you, for example, have two projects. So here you have projects. By the way, that's something else that is also nice, that you can just switch project very easily. But yeah, so you can have two projects when you're on the basic plan. You can have like 7 workflows. You can have 3 plugins installed. I think that limitation is kind of becoming the main limitation of the tool, because we have so many plugins now. And then, yeah, so we kind of limit in terms of quantity, not the features themselves. So we don't rate limit, for example, in the automate. And then on the individual tier, so that's like 200 US per year or $20 US per month. If you're on the general pricing, we're starting to do regional pricing. That's something we just started to do in Brazil and India. We're testing it out,
So cool.
and then we'll see, like, we're going to expand slowly into other countries for regional pricing. And then, yeah, then that gives you like access to all the features. We also have if you're a student, it's entirely free. So you just need to apply. There's like a student plan section in our pricing, just like there's a small procedure, just follow that and it will get you a license. And otherwise, if you're a team in a bigger company, we have a team plan up to 5 people. That's like $30 per user. And that gives you like just you can reassign licenses very easily if you have like your team members that are cycling through it. And then we're also currently adding the shared instances. So like right now, the servers that are hosted remotely, it's only for you, but we're adding the possibility of sharing those servers with your team. And then we have enterprise for like bigger clients.
Amazing. Love it. Well, hey, for those of you in chat, let me know if I missed any of those introductory things. I was trying to grab your questions as we went. But now, like, let's hear about, dude,
Yeah.
what is new for October, the
Yeah,
past
for
month?
sure,
What are
for
some
sure.
awesome updates in Caido?
So we're a very small company, but we still try to do a monthly update. That's kind of our schedule right now, is try to be in a monthly schedule, so we can at least like get your patches, even if there are not many like new flashy features. At least you'll get the patches for that we've been working on. So that's always a good thing. So I would say the first thing that people will realize is that we changed the sidebar. So the sidebar is now collapsible. Every
Oh,
section is
beautiful.
collapsible. And this is really the first the first step toward like being able to create your own sections. And then, because essentially it was fine before, but then now we're starting to have like too many plugins. As you can see, I have a fair bit of plugins here. So this is becoming an issue. So we'll allow people to create their own section and move like items between the sections. So the first step was like redoing our sidebar, and then that we gained the collapsible by redoing it. So that's kind of like a nice to have, like when you have too many tools or too many plugins. And some people don't really care about some of them, like Automate or the assistant, for example. People might not really care about that, so they will be able to hide it in a future update. So that's like first update. And feel free to stop me at any time if you want to dive in, but that's a very simple thing. Another thing we added is like it was funny because that came from a suggestion from someone on Twitter, I think. We did give a shout out, but I don't remember the name of the person out of the top of my head. But he essentially built vibe coded kind of a Kaido team tool. And he said, well, this is harder than it looks, but yeah, it is harder. We've been working on a tool like that on Kaido for 4 years, and it is a hard tool to build. But one thing he added was the history here, and we thought it was a very, very good idea. So we added also that in Kaido. So now you can see like your history of past requests. So you used to be able to go like back and forth, obviously, but it's nice to have like at least the status code and the
Cool.
timestamp and all of that stuff, so you can then jump into any of those directly.
I don't think the other tools have that. I mean, I could be wrong. I
No,
know
I
with
don't
other
think
tools
so.
you can just go back and forth, but
Yeah,
that would be really helpful for a legit like web app pen test. I don't know how many times I send something to like repeater and then I repeat it and then I'm like, wait, what was the previous request? And then
yeah,
I can't go far enough back like that. For those of you who don't do web app pen testing, this alone is actually huge. Very, very creative, like simple thing, but huge kind of life improvement when it comes to
yeah.
web app pen testing.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's one thing I want to see. Like people, I want to know from people like what they think we should. Like we don't want to overload that history either, but we might want to add other columns or stuff like that. So always happy to get a feedback from the community on that. See how we can improve that history table to be even more useful for people. So yeah, that was added recently. We also moved like the placeholders to the bottom. So if you don't know about the placeholders, it's a very interesting feature that you can use to automate some of your manual testing. So one of the things you can do, for example, here I have a placeholder. So let's say I restart from here. So let's say I want to craft. If I send that request, this is an AWS request, so obviously I don't have the authorization header, so it will give me a bad access for that
Just
specific file.
pause right there just for
Yeah.
those who are new to that. I've encountered this many times on pen tests when I'm doing AWS type stuff, but give us like a 1 minute overview. Like,
Yeah.
why does this matter?
Yeah. So AWS is very painful to craft. Every time you modify a request that you want to send to AWS, you need to like essentially hash it. It's a fancy hash. It has a bunch of operation. It's not just like a SHA-50 256 of like the body or something. It's really more complex because it takes in account like the method, the query parameters, and a bunch of stuff that you need to hash to make sure that the request is passes the signature. And then also like you need to sign it with your private, well, the equivalent of a private key for AWS, which is like AWS account ID and account secret. So that's like a kind of very annoying manual step to do every time you want to modify like a parameter in your body or a query parameter or something. So I built like the workflow I was telling you about earlier, and then you can just like essentially add a placeholder on the authorization header, and then select your workflow. So this is actually a paid feature. That's the only paid feature that is not available in free, like in terms of quantity at all. And then you can decide what you want to pass to it. So that's something people might not have realized. This editor is important because you can decide which bytes you want to pass into your workflow. In this case, we need to pass in the whole byte because we need the whole body to craft the signature. And then you just click add. And when you send a request, in theory, it should work. In theory,
You didn't pray to the demo gods enough, dude.
yeah, the demigods are not working with me. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so I must have messed up in terms of it's timing out. So I probably messed up my placeholder somehow. And then, but you see, like here I have the placeholder correctly done with the workflow here. And then when I resend it, it actually gives me the file. Another thing you can do is you can use like environment variables. So those are not your computer environment variables, but they are environments you can create. So like here I have, for globally, I have my access key, my secret access key.
What if you hit that little eye icon next to your secret access key? What happens?
Yeah, no. I'll
My
need to
social
rotate it.
engineering's not working.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
tried, guys. I tried to hack his
Uh,
AWS account, but I was not
there's nothing
successful.
much in there anyway, but yeah, I don't want you to rack up my bill. But yeah, it's also useful for like user one and user two. So if you have like, I don't know, access tokens or something like that, or API keys with various levels of privilege, and then you can just go in and inject it. That is in the free tier, so people can use that. And then yeah, for example, here I crafted the environment variable with the AWS region, and then when we send it, it actually like infers it. I think I can show it, but it's gonna show like a valid authorization header. But I guess by the time the video airs, hopefully, I trust the people in the chat. I don't know if it's a good idea. Let's see. Here, yeah. So here you'll see like the US East 1 region inferred. So yeah, that's a very useful feature, and then you can just toggle the environment from here. So like you said, say okay, user one, user two, or like API low level, low privilege, high privilege, and things like that. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a big like side side quest on why we moved it here, and the reason we move it here is because we wanted to add those pretty and raw at the top right here. And the reason for that is now that plugins can actually hook into those and add new views. And I think I have an example in my CTF project. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For example, like this is like a GraphQL call, and we have a plugin now called GraphQL Analyzer that was released like not so long ago. So you see now this new button called GraphQL. So that's a plugin, and then like this gives you like the query, the variables. Well, this is not maybe not that's the introspection query. Do I have like something? But well, doesn't matter. But you can see a bit still like the query it sent, the variables it sent, and the request info. So it's more about like yeah, making sure that there's still like work to be done in that plugin. But it's interesting because like that means like every new protocol we don't necessarily need to support it in the core. We can still like support it via an extension. So that's
Sure.
always our goal, is to like make sure that the extensions can do the most of the work and then add new protocols and stuff like that. Yeah, so people should check it out. Like if you use GraphQL, check out the new GraphQL Analyzer plugin. It has also like a bunch of attacks, so you can like define the attacks on
Oh,
a
very
specific
cool.
endpoint. Right now, there are not too many. It's just the query complex, the typical query complexity, query depth, and stuff like that.
Question on this,
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick, on the GraphQL. I don't even know
yeah,
if this is possible. So I've used this before with other tools. You can like right click and automatically send an introspection query
yeah,
without,
yeah.
typing it all out. And then if you get a response, you can right click that and like add it to your site map. So you can very easily like mess with those different requests. Is that possible with this plugin or
I've
no?
not. I know that you can send the schema introspection
Oh,
one.
nice. Okay, cool.
And I know that you can like once you have the introspection, like you can scan for the GraphQL endpoint here. So for example, I scanned our own because Caido also run like the Caido server part runs also with GraphQL. So I scan our own, and you can actually like explore the mutations that
Oh, cool.
are
Sweet.
like here. You have all the mutations, and like for example, like how it looks like if you expand it all. Yeah, and then you also have Voyager. So I don't know if you ever use Voyager, but it's
I
very
have.
useful
Yep.
for GraphQL. So it's pretty big for Caido. Like it's kind of a beast. But in theory, like Voyager, what is nice with Voyager is you can click on a node and then it tells you like, okay, this payload is used by. Now you have to scroll a lot because the schema is so big. But yeah, let me zoom out a bit. And then it's used by whatever queries or things like that. So this is useful when you don't know, like you're starting out in a new application and you kind of want to know the relations between the like, okay, this field embeds this type embed this type and this type. So it kind of allows you to like navigate and understand a bit more how the application works. So yeah, those are two very useful things to have like natively in the tool. I feel like I haven't played a whole lot with it yet, but yeah, that's something I want to play a bit more. So the last thing we are missing is kind of like more an integration into replay for like more like easy modification. So that's something, as you can see here, like in replay, we don't have GraphQL yet, but that
Sure.
is something we're working toward. Like it's going to be possible. Right now, it's only for the read only part, and then we're working on the read write part. So
Got it.
yeah. Yeah, I think, and the only options that people, that is actually important for people that use Caido daily. We added this new forced close connection. By default, it's on now. So if you've used Caido in the past, some people have complained that sometimes the requests take a long time to finish. And the reason for that is actually, there's a legit reason for it, is that we wait 0.5 seconds after the last byte that is supposed to be received from the server, just to see that if there are more data that is coming back from the server. So often, not often, but you will see some servers that will lie about their content length, or that will like, you might do some nginx bypass, and then that will like send just more data on the wire that the server probably didn't really intend to send, because they decided that the content length was smaller than the whole body. So we do listen to, like, by default, we used to listen to like 0.5 seconds before. And the reason is, like, if you don't send a connection close explicitly to your connection, the server will not close the connection by itself. It will wait. It will stay pending. So now we do add by default the header connection close. So the connections are faster, obviously, to finish because the server closed the connection. But that also means, like, if you're actually testing for, like, if the server is willing to send you more data than they told you they would, then you have to like disable that option now. So
Sure.
yeah. Yeah, let me think. I think, yeah, that good. I think that goes for everything I wanted to talk about in the replay. I don't know if the chat has like something to ask about, or
We have a bunch of questions, but
okay.
whenever you're done with the demo part, we'll dive into
Yeah.
questions.
Well,
So you
almost.
just let me know.
Yeah. Almost there. Small thing, we added an official section in the plugin. So those are plugins that are made by us, maintained by us. Yeah, generally they'll be like, performance wise, we try to like make sure that they are like not impacting your performance. So if you want to stick to only safe quote unquote plugins, you can work with those. Otherwise, you also have like the community ones that are made by a bunch of people in the community. So yeah, those that we added, that's a small thing. We made the project backup free. So
Here, quick question, real quick on the
yeah.
plugins. I noticed the active scanner. Are you
Yeah.
able to, like, when you do an active scan, are you able to export the results to another format to be digestible by a tool, or how does that work?
I think that's still not done. The export, yeah, the export is not. Well, the export is like actually creating findings, so we don't have like findings directly in the scanner. So you can actually, yes, now that I think
Oh,
of
I
it,
see.
because like the findings are gonna get inside the findings tools, and those you can export now, right?
Got it.
So you can export either all the findings of a reporter, or you can right click and export a specific finding. So yes, they will be JSON-based format when you download them. Good question. Where was I?
I think you're on the workspaces next, potentially.
Yeah, the workspace. Yeah. So before, you had to be on the individual tier to do your backups of create backups here. Now it's based on, it's a free tier. Like we just made it free. Yeah, we just made it free for people to create and import backups. I know people want to be able to create backups in other sections of their computer, not in the sections we decide. That's on, on the issue. You gotta go upvote the issues. That's the way we work. Like, if nobody's upvoting that issue, it's never gonna get done. So if you care about that, go upvote it. Small little thing, well, small-ish little thing. We added this new AI configuration. So like I said, we want you to use your own keys. So now you can set up your own keys, and this is very new, but we added an AI SDK. So people, the plugin developers should now be using the AI SDK. Obviously, some of the older plugins are not been updated yet, but the goal is like by like in a couple of months, they'll all move on to this SDK. So all your keys are centralized and they don't use our stuff and all of that that jazz. Some
Sure.
people use the assistance before where we used to provide credits. We're still going to do that and integrate it here, so you'll be able to disable it if you don't want us to see your traffic at all, which most people won't. So but it's still nice for us to, people still like it when we offer some credits for non-sensitive stuff. Like, I don't know, you want to craft a match and replace rule, you don't really care about that usually. So things like that, you can use the AI credits that we offer you. So and last element, we added a new response raw and request raw for the match and replace. So if you want to completely mock out a server, you can do that now. You can
Sure.
mock the whole response or the whole request. It still reaches out to the foreign server. So like if the foreign server is down, we still need to add an option to like bypass completely the foreign call. But yeah, you can at least this is useful like if you need like a special like response to access an admin panel or something like that in the front end. And yeah, that's about it, I think, for 52. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for sharing with all of us. There's one thing, dude, you didn't mention. You're in Cali now. I actually saw people
Yeah.
mentioning that in chat. So tell us about that. Like, how did it come about? Did OffSec reach out to you? Like, how does that process even work?
Yeah. So that was a fun process. We were in Parrot before. If people didn't know, we started like working with Parrot like more than a year ago. Not last DEF CON, the DEF CON before. And then I think it was like, I want to say in March, someone from, I know I had on my to-do to reach out to OffSec, and it was kind of a weird coincidence where like I was going to reach out to them and then they reached out at the same time. You know, those kind of like, it was meant to be kind of thing. So yeah, and then we set up a meeting with them. They needed to have like some kind of some modification in the tool. For example, we added the guest mode. That was a request from them. So the guest mode, essentially, you can use the basic free version of Caido. Not every free version. We give some candies to people that create an account with us. But you can use a lot of the feature of Caido and without even creating an account with the guest mode now. So that was one of their requests. Another one was to disable the auto update. So we did that also. So we did a bunch of stuff. So that took a couple of months, and then they included it in their APT repository. Yeah, so it took, I think, a good 6 months, I want to say, to be included. But yeah, here we are finally. So I'm not sure about their update schedule. I know someone asked that on Twitter about their update schedule. You're gonna have to deal with that, or you can also like just probably enable the auto updates of Caido if you really want to be on the latest one. I think they are even still like a bit of version, a couple of version behind at the moment. So
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's cool. That's cool. It's just like people were using it on Kali. Like you can download the deb and just install it, but it's still nice to be native now. Gives us a bit of a publicity push.
I love it. Well, hey, I'm gonna remove your screen just quick, just so it's easier to do questions. There we go. Now we have us, and I should be able to show chat over here now.
Nice.
I cannot see Twitter. I don't think I can pull in chat from Twitter just because it's you restreaming it. So if there's any questions there, you'll have to look at Twitter. But we do have a few questions here. This one has been asked a few times.
Okay.
See if it pulls up. So it's, what about race conditions and saving more than 2 projects? I think that saving more than 2 projects, you need to pay. But what about race conditions? Can you use Caido to test for race conditions?
Yeah, that's one of our blind spots at the moment. We know about it, obviously. Like people have been shouting at us to do this, so like it is on the docket. It's gonna take a little while, so you can like there are a couple things like with the race conditions. So you have like typical race conditions are HTTP 1.1 that you can like open to TCP stream and then you send the data on to TCP stream. So this will get, I think, I'm not sure yet on the timeline, but fairly like a bit faster than the rest. then you have like things like single packet attack, which require HTTP2, which we're currently working on, but building an HTTP2 stack takes a while. So that's gonna come probably more like next year. So yeah,
Sure.
we are aware, like, but that's the way it works, like 6 months ago people were shouting about other stuff, so
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, it means we made progress. So yeah, no.
Very
So
cool.
yeah, it's very like, if people have not looked at the issue board, that's where like we use a lot of the Kaido issues, so you can like look at and upvote the issues that are important to you, so that helps us prioritize. So we know, like, for example, race condition was one of them. Crawler is another one that we want to work on. There are a couple like that we are aware. Yeah.
Great. And hey, for those of you in the live chat, I know people ask a lot of questions in the beginning. I will scroll if I have to and find them, but if you want to re-ask them now, that would be ideal. But we have another question right here from MDK22. I have a quick question. Where should I start learning Kaido, and what is the best approach to get to know it better? And will there be any possibility of certifications in the future? A few questions there.
Yeah, that the training is obviously a big topic. So we put a lot of effort into our documentation. So you have like a good quick start now. Lots of stuff in the documentation. You can follow Tyler. Obviously, he does all of the streams with Kaido now, so that's cool. We added Kaido labs.kaido.do also.
Do you want to show that to us if I go back to sharing your
Yeah,
screen?
I can,
All right.
I can show
Here,
that.
let me grab your screen and re-screen share, and I'm going to make chat get off the screen so
yeah,
they're not in our way. There we go.
Give me a sec. So this is like still fairly. We have an announcement, so this is not gonna stay like this. This platform will change in the coming month-ish. Something cooking up in that that direction. But yeah, it's a good just very basic tutorials to just essentially force you to like use some of the features that we offer. For example, one is like too many requests. So too many requests is like, it's just going to send a bunch of requests and then help you, like, essentially the goal is to force you to use HTTPQL to like find a secret value and then yeah, so it's more like self-directed. It's very simple. We're going to add a lot more labs in the future, but yeah, that's our first attempt at obviously competitor to like all the labs platforms that exist out there. And otherwise, I know that Aimer also does a lot of comprehensive like YouTube videos on Kaido. So if you want to be more like specific about the specific plugins or things like that, I think it's Aimer Security. It's this guy, the guy that does GraphQL Analyzer. He does a bunch of plugins. And he also has like a YouTube channel. Let me go there. YouTube channel that he does a lot of videos with Kaido. The Kaido masterclass has been very well appreciated. So
Cool.
If you want to start Kaido masterclass here, it might be a bit small, but yeah, if I zoom in a bit, that one has been really appreciated for just the thoroughness of it. It's an hour, and then you kind of get a really deep dive into the tool. Certification, that's going to come later. Essentially, the problem with certification is like we're trying to work with certification provider, but you need to grow a bit. We're starting to be more popular, obviously, than we were like a year or two ago, but we're still not reached like mass adoption. So once we reach mass adoption, this is where like you start to have like certification. I don't think we'll want to do. Maybe eventually we'll probably do an official Kaido certification, but that's not on our radar for now. We don't have the bandwidth for that. So
that makes sense. All right, another question, kind of similar to a previous one, but Joshua said, "Have you ever considered timing tools? Because username enumeration often also works via timing channels. It would be useful for authentication enumeration pen tests."
Timing tools. That's interesting. Yeah, I think that's the first time I hear about timing tools like directly. That's something I would be interested to like open an issue about and then start discussing what are the requirements that we need to build. I feel a lot of those will like we'll be able to build a plugin that does that once we have the primitives for the race condition. So I think those are very similar primitives. So I think we'll be able to do that once we have the primitive for the race condition. But we'll probably make it a plugin. Our philosophy is we try to empower the plugin community as much as possible, because we're such a small team that we can't do everything. So like I prefer, like, if you're gonna ask me for something, ask me for like a tool for the SDK or a hook or something. I'll be more than happy to work on that versus just
Sure.
the feature natively, because it just is better and benefits more people when we do
Yeah.
something with the SDK. So.
That makes a lot of sense. Another question, although I don't know if you can share this fully, uh, but I've seen Caido Labs. He says, "Will you release new labs too?" And you kind
Yeah,
of hinted at something, some announcement you're going to be making,
yeah,
but I don't
yeah.
know if you can share much more.
Not yet, not yet. We're
All
working
right,
on that. So, but
cool. I can tell you guys, I'm pretty sure I know what it is, and it's awesome. You guys will
yeah. Yeah,
you'll like it.
yeah.
All right, let me scroll through chat. Oh, so I'll answer Joshua's question real quick. Well, sort of. So his time question is a little bit different than your typical timing attack. He means like when you're doing, let's say you're logging in, or let's say you're resetting your password for a web app and it gives a generic error message, but a
Yeah,
valid account has a different response
yeah.
time than an
Mhm.
invalid account. I suppose, is there any way to create custom tooling or a custom extension in Kaido that hooks into stuff already? I'd assume that's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. And you can, yeah, you can already do that if you, it just takes time to build a plugin, but yeah, because you can do like an sdk.request.send, and then you can also customize your timeout if you have like very long timeout and things like that. And you can measure very easily the time it takes for the request. Like, um, we already do it internally. So if it's not exposed on the JavaScript side, let me know, because like that's something we can very easily expose. Like we do measure the time. It takes it's a bit tricky to measure the time of like a request. Like there are multiple metrics you can measure in theory, but we do offer that. So I'm pretty sure we could do this. I see what you mean. Like it's kind of more of a blind oracle or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
You got it. And this Lucky had this question. I think it's more about just how to add extensions. But he says in Zap, I'm able to add a Python script to scan for bugs. Is this possible with Kaido?
So in Caido, our extensions are in JavaScript. That's like the environment that we use. You can, in theory, use Python because you can either use the shell node in your workflow. So you could have like a workflow that pipes with a shell and calls Python, or you could do like a child process in JavaScript. So those are two possibilities to call Python. But natively, our language is JavaScript on the front end, because the plugins are a bit different than typical plugins because it's a client server architecture. So you have like the front end part with the interface and all that, and you have your back end part where you usually make all the business logic and then the tax and stuff like that. On the back end part, we have a VM that is similar to Node, so we have a lot of the same modules that you have in Node. And we're always adding new modules to the it's not perfect because it's it's not Node, so it's not perfectly like matching one to one, but
Sure.
we try to be as close as possible. So yeah, yes and no, I want to say,
All
for
right,
Python
cool.
script. Yeah.
All right, another question for you from General. He said a simpler question. What about a crawler?
Yes, the crawl is like probably the top one apart from race condition feature requests. This is likely going to be a plugin. We have Bebex that's building on our team, that's building a lot of the plugin. I don't know if you might have seen his name. At least if you use plugins, you will have seen his name. So now he's like working for us. Very the best plugin developers we have. Like, sorry for the others one, but he's still better. And then now, yeah, we kind of hired him. I want to say like has it been 6 months? Yeah. And then he during the summer, because he's still at school. So anyway, during the summer he did an internship with us, more intense, and then we built a bunch of stuff, including a scanner. So the scanner is mainly him. So yeah, he's gonna work on the crawler. I want to say I'm not. We still have a button. At the moment he's working on Authorize, so we have Matrix but we don't have an authorize. So right now he's working on authorize, because people like authorize more than Automatrix. So different people, different tools. And then after that, I think the crawler is the next step. So if I
Cool.
remember correctly, or like shortly after. So
Sounds good. And for those of you watching the live stream, I just dropped a link in chat
yeah.
to the Google form. So once again, it's just asking for name and email. I'm not selling your email. I'm not even using your email. You'll only be contacted if you win. I'll be doing the drawing live on stream tonight. I stream most nights around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You don't have to be in the live stream tonight to win, but obviously you have to be here right now because I'm going to close the form in just a few minutes. So go ahead and fill that out. You might win a 6-month subscription over to Caido. But we have another question right here from Osa Mac. He said, any reason why it's being implemented as a plugin and not as a native feature? Talking about the crawler.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's kind of the direction we're starting to go in. The vision we have is more akin to like VS Code. If you look at like our visual presentation of Kaido, it's very reminiscent of VS Code, and we really like the model of like plugin system, very powerful plugin, extensive plugins that are well made. Like plugin, usually people have like this conception of like, oh, they're going to be less performant, or they're going to be not as well integrated. And we kind of want to change that and say, well, plugins can be as good as the core. And it also forces us to like add new hooks and new capabilities to the plugin system, so it becomes better for the rest of the community. So that's kind of the reasoning. We might, if we see that there's really a performance issue with the crawler, we'll bring it like Rust and native. But it takes more time. Like also like the plugin, we can evolve it very fast. Like during a month cycle, we can do like 4 or 5 updates to a plugin versus like just our monthly release cycle, which is much slower in the core.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah.
That makes sense. Well, we are almost to the end of the live stream. We're like 50 minutes, dude. Time flies when we're having fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking over at chat. I don't know if we have any more questions right now, but do want to let you guys all know this is sort of an experiment. Me and Emil talked earlier this week, and we're like, what if we just do a monthly live stream and talk about the latest updates to Caido? So you'll likely see us doing this again next month. Maybe we'll do another type of giveaway of some sort. Maybe we can talk about the new lab stuff that they're going to be working on, but we'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about then. Also, just to be clear, this also isn't sponsored by Caido. Like we're just friends. I want to do everything I can to support Caido and vice versa. So not sponsored. I know often when you see stuff like that, it's like the company is paying money, but no, I'm really just a huge fan of Caido. We have some cool partnerships we're likely going to work on in the future.
Yeah.
But Emil, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
So we got one more question. Let me throw a question over here.
Yeah, we have the. That's interesting. Like, yeah, throw it on the screen. It's about the AI pen testing.
Yes. Yeah. So answer this one.
This is a very tricky topic at the moment. I feel like a lot of people are very stressed about AI. So far, there was a study, like I think that came out like yesterday or something, that showed that it's actually not reducing the job. So at least for now, it's not. So the way we approach it is definitely there is going to be more competition for the same jobs, because one person will be expected to do more stuff. So you need to probably hire less people for the same amount of like more work, essentially. We also have like the plugin called Shift that we essentially bought a couple of months ago, and then we kind of integrated it more natively. Let me share my screen real quick. If I have, we do still have 10 minutes, so let me share
please do.
my screen a bit. Let me know when you see it.
Yeah, let me add the scene. Let me hide chat, and let me make the question go away just so we can see better. All right, we got it.
So initially, we only add the assistants. That's the stuff that use like credit system that we're gonna replace with our SDK. But the new thing is Shift. So Shift, we have the agent portion that here can take control of a whole tab. So you can say, oh, you can add your own methodologies. We have like, if you go in this Shift section, you can create your own prompts and reuse your own prompts. And then inside of a replay, you can say, okay, there's probably an IDOR, there's probably something here, and you can decide which model based on the one you based on the providers you obviously like set up in your AI SDK. The AI SDK Shift has not been ported to the AI SDK, but it's going to be like shortly. So this is like one thing to automate. I've seen some people use it successfully. Obviously, it's not gonna. You can't say like hack AWS or something. That's not how it works.
Hack
But
all the things.
hack all the things. But it is a companion to like, oh, there's probably an IDOR there. Just go try a bunch of stuff and report to me, and then I can do other stuff in the meantime. So that's more about freeing you time, and you can also use it everywhere, like there in a bunch of other places. So you can say, okay, please craft me, like you can do shift space and then say craft me an HPQL rule to filter for a secret. And then I don't know if Gemini Flash. Yeah, okay. So Gemini Flash, I think that's why it didn't work, because Gemini Flash has been removed, if I remember correctly, or something like that broke. But essentially, it's aware of the pages that you're onto. You can also craft match and replace rule for admin. So let's say we do match and replace. We say let's close that, re-enter it, just make sure it has context. Craft match and replace to replace let's say to replace user by admin. And then boom, you have like your HPQL request for match or user admin. Very simple, dumb use case, but you can do more stuff like that. Tell it to build a condition and things like that. So a lot of the pages will have support for the context of the page and then interact with it. And this extension is like fully open source. That's another thing that people were asking, the difference between the core and the extensions. Like the extensions move fast because they are open source, and they move faster because of that. So
awesome.
Yeah. So I don't see it as a problem per se. Oops, sorry. All right.
Cool. We got more questions still. Let's knock out a few other questions. We have 7 minutes. This is a good one that people are probably wondering. What are the countries that are up next for regional pricing? Do you have any countries in mind?
Yeah, probably a couple of countries in LATAM. So probably Argentina. Not sure yet. Yeah, we have to balance. The problem is we need to like change our billing. Anyway, long story short, it's a bit complicated. We need to change billing system to support more countries, so it's going to take a longer than I want. But yeah, probably Argentina is one of them. I think we did India. Middle East probably. We go by number of users that are using Caido in that specific region. So sure. Obviously, obviously Canada. We're gonna do, but the Canada price is not gonna be different than the US price, my friend. I mean, yeah. So it's just gonna be a Canadian dollar probably instead of that. But yeah, we are a Canadian company, so yeah, we'll do Canadian price. Probably a price in euro also, but that's not really gonna be cheaper. It's just gonna be regionalized. Yeah. So you
should do a US price, dude, and then charge us tariffs on the Caido US price.
Well, I might, depending next year, I might have to do. It might not be a joke. Like next year, it might actually be a thing. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, so we'll see. Yeah, the difference is like some. We do parity pricing, so depending on the purchasing power, parity pricing. But yeah, I don't have a lot. I would like to check, but yeah, probably Argentina was like my top one on my list at the moment. Yeah.
Cool. This is a cool question. Might be hard to answer, but what is your favorite feature of Caido?
Oh, that's a good question. I code a lot the backend, so usually it's something that will be interesting in the backend. I really like. I really liked our plugin system. I don't know. It's a weird thing because I'm a developer, so maybe I'm biased with that. But I really like how we've built the plugin system. It's very also technically interesting to build a plugin system that hooks into the rest of the system. So for me, but I'm a weird person. So like, if I want to say like my favorite like feature that is for pen testers and things like that, I would say match and replace. That's probably the one my favorite feature. It's very powerful. You can do a lot of transformation in match and replace, and we made it even easier with the sections. And currently, our current intern is working on integrating match and replace in automate, and then we'll do replay after that. So you'll be able to do the placeholder in replay, but on top of that, like let's say you want to add every time you want to add the header X hacker 123 just to identify yourself for a private program or something like that. That's something you can code into a match and replace rule, so you'll be able to just apply that directly on every request that comes out of Caido. So that's kind of the goal.
Cool. Another AI question for you, because I'm actually curious about this as well. How do the filters work with the AI models? Like, are the filters custom? How do you guys have that configured? If you could share.
So the AI, well, you'll hit essentially a provider, right? So that depends on the provider you're gonna hit. For our stuff, when we proxy it, we used to just proxy it to OpenAI, and we said, well, this is dumb. We should just let people communicate with whatever provider they have. So yeah, you do sometimes will hit AI ethical filters from the providers, especially like OpenAI is getting a bit annoying with this. So you have to like give it a system prompt. I believe Shift has a system prompt where like it says, "Oh, I'm a good person. Like, please let me do this for research purposes." So I think this helps. It's not perfect. The other thing we want to add is like, well, you can already do it. You can, if you have a powerful enough computer, you can spawn your own local model now. And since most of them have like an OpenAI compatible API, you can just like point that to that
Sure.
and then use your own local models. But I feel like as time goes on, and maybe in a year or two, I think we'll probably be able to embed something natively in like local AI model running natively. The problem right now is like most people don't have like enough bandwidth in their computer to run it, so it's kind of useless for us to work on that. But you can still do it and then just enter the OpenAI like a URL. That's why we added the URL override for OpenAI, so you can like essentially run your own model locally if you want. So
yep,
that's when someone was asking about Olama. So yeah, for example, you could host Olama on your computer or like on what's the website that you can host like model? I have a blank. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's one website that people use to like host.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, OpenRouter is one of them. But
yeah.
there's another one. Okay, that's fine. Sometimes
they have to
Hugging
pay
Face.
to be included.
The chat is useful here. Hugging Face.
Yep. Now Hugging Face has to pay me. OpenRouter and Huggy Face will have to pay me the sponsor fee for being mentioned in the live interview. No,
yeah.
I'm just playing. But dude, we are at
we're at
the top of the hour. Believe it or not. Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and do this. And also reminded all of you, as far as now, we're doing this every single month. So we'll do it again next month. We'll make it even better, even more interactive. But I think this first one went really well. So thank you, Emil, for hanging out. Thank you, all of you, for taking the time to watch. I'm looking over at the form. We have quite a few responses on the form. So I am going to close the form as soon as we jump off the live stream, and I'll be doing that drawing live tonight. Now, you don't have to join the live stream tonight, but if you win, I will reach out to you via email, and then I'll pass your information over to Emil and the rest of the Caido team. But guys, thank you.
Thank you
so much for being here. Thank you, Emil.
Yeah, no, it was awesome.
See you guys in the next one.